The global revival of conlangs. In recent decades, constructed languages, conlangs, have experienced a remarkable resurgence, fueled by technological advancements, global interconnectedness, and a renewed appreciation for linguistic creativity. Far from being obscure academic exercises or niche hobbies, conlangs have entered the mainstream, captivating people across various disciplines and cultural contexts. The historical context. Historically, conlangs were often associated with philosophical experiments or utopian ideals. Thinkers like Ludwig Zamenhof, creator of Esperanto, envisioned languages as tools for fostering international peace. Others, such as J.R.R. Tolkien, saw them as essential components of imaginative world-building. While these historical efforts laid the groundwork for conlanging, they were relatively limited in their reach, confined to enthusiasts and scholars. The role of technology. The modern revival of conlangs can be attributed largely to the digital age. The internet has provided conlangers with platforms to share their work, exchange ideas, and collaborate on projects. Forums like the conlang listserv in the 1990s paved the way for newer, more interactive platforms such as Reddit's r/conlangs, Discord servers, and dedicated websites. These spaces allow creators to showcase their languages, discuss linguistic theory, and inspire one another. Software and online tools have further democratized conlanging. Applications like Polyglot and Vulgar automate parts of the conlang creation process, making it accessible even to those without formal linguistic training. Phonetics generators, grammar frameworks, and lexicon builders have empowered creators to develop complex languages with relative ease. A cultural phenomenon. Pop culture has played a significant role in bringing conlangs to the forefront of public consciousness. Television shows like Game of Thrones introduced audiences to Dothraki and High Valyrian, languages that have become almost as iconic as the characters who speak them. The Star Trek franchise made Klingon a household name, with fans going so far as to translate Shakespearean plays into the language. These examples demonstrate how conlangs have transcended their original contexts, becoming cultural phenomena in their own right. Global communities and movements. One of the most exciting aspects of the modern conlang revival is its global nature. Enthusiasts from all over the world now connect to share their creations, bridging cultural and linguistic divides. Conlanging has become an inclusive hobby that appeals to people of all ages and backgrounds. It serves as a creative outlet, a linguistic challenge, and, for some, a way to explore their identity or heritage. Conlangs in academia. The academic world has also taken note of the conlang revival. Universities now offer courses dedicated to the art and science of language construction. These courses explore the principles of linguistics through the lens of conlanging, encouraging students to think critically about how languages work and why they matter. Driving forces behind the revival. Several factors have contributed to this modern renaissance. Globalization. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected, there is a growing appreciation for linguistic diversity. Conlangs offer a way to celebrate language as a creative and cultural expression. Escapism and creativity. In a fast-paced world, many find solace in creating new worlds, complete with their own languages. This creative process provides a form of escapism and a way to channel artistic energy. Linguistic curiosity. People are fascinated by how languages work and how they can be constructed. Conlangs satisfy this curiosity while offering a hands-on approach to learning about language. A growing movement. The global revival of conlangs is more than a trend. It is a movement that celebrates the beauty of language and its infinite possibilities. It is a testament to human creativity and our enduring desire to connect, innovate, and imagine. From hobbyists designing languages for their tabletop RPGs to professional linguists crafting dialects for blockbuster films, conlanging has become a dynamic and multifaceted phenomenon, with no signs of slowing down. Chapter 2. Conlangs as Cultural Identity and Preservation Tools. In the 21st century, conlangs have taken on a profound role beyond artistic and intellectual pursuits. They are increasingly recognized as instruments of cultural preservation, identity building, and revival. This chapter delves into how constructed languages are being used to protect endangered languages, foster cultural pride, and offer unique avenues for communities to reconnect with their heritage. The threat of language extinction. Language extinction is a global crisis. According to UNESCO, nearly half of the world's estimated 7,000 languages are at risk of disappearing by the end of the century. Each lost language represents a significant loss of cultural knowledge, oral traditions, and historical narratives. In response, conlangers and linguists have turned to constructed languages as a method to preserve the essence of endangered languages. Case studies and revival. Cornish. Though Cornish was declared extinct in the 18th century, dedicated linguists and communities have reconstructed it using historical texts and created modern teaching tools. Wakashan languages. Conlangers have worked with indigenous communities in North America to create tools and materials that blend traditional linguistic features with modern accessibility, creating new tools for identity. Conlangs have emerged as tools for communities to shape or reclaim their cultural narratives. By constructing a language, communities can assert their identity and even build new traditions. Cultural conlangs. Some conlangs are designed explicitly for cultural groups to express their values and history. For example, modernized dialects. Groups in diasporas have developed new languages or dialects to maintain a sense of shared belonging despite geographical separation. Festive and ritualistic uses. Communities sometimes use conlangs in ceremonies, festivals, or rituals to reconnect with a lost or evolving cultural identity. Media representation. In literature, films, and TV, marginalized cultures can use conlangs to highlight their narratives. By embedding cultural themes in grammar, syntax, and vocabulary, these languages become potent symbols of resistance and pride. Social movements and conlangs. The role of conlangs in contemporary social movements cannot be overstated. Activists and artists alike have adopted constructed languages to foster solidarity. Conlangs often create a sense of unity within activist communities, especially when existing languages are tied to oppressive histories. Challenge colonial narratives. Conlangs are tools for decolonizing language spaces, offering an alternative to dominant global languages like English, Spanish, or French. Examples in action. Revolutionary conlangs. Protest groups have used simple constructed codes to communicate in secrecy and solidarity. Ecolanguages. In ecological movements, activists have created green languages to reflect harmonious relationships with nature. Conlangs in the digital era. The internet has amplified the role of conlangs as cultural and identity-building tools. Online platforms enable individuals and communities to collaborate on linguistic projects, share resources, and engage in discussions about culture and heritage. Interactive tools. Platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Discord provide conlangers with spaces to teach, learn, and preserve languages through storytelling, video tutorials, and shared digital lexicons. Crowdsourced preservation. Projects like Wiktionary and Omniglot include community contributions to create multilingual resources, including reconstructed and constructed languages. Future implications. As conlangs continue to evolve, their impact on cultural preservation and identity building grows. This is particularly important for young generations in indigenous and minority groups who are reawakening interest in their ancestral languages through new, creative forms. Questions to consider. How can conlangs balance authenticity with modern practicality in cultural preservation? Could conlangs eventually serve as bridges between disconnected generations and diasporas? What role will digital tools play in the future of endangered language revival through conlang? Chapter 3. Conlangs in popular media, film, TV, and video games. Introduction. In today's world, constructed languages, conlangs, play an essential role in entertainment media. They're no longer just theoretical linguistic experiments or hobbyist projects, but have become integral to films, television series, and video games. From the epic realms of Hollywood blockbusters to the immersive landscapes of video game universes, conlangs enhance storytelling, enrich world building, and captivate audiences. 1. The rise of conlangs in cinema and television. Film and television have long been fascinated with language as a tool for world building. Whether it's alien civilizations, fantasy kingdoms, or futuristic societies, Language helps establish authenticity and cultural depth. Notable conlangs in film and TV. Klingon, Star Trek. Created by linguist Marco Crand, Klingon became one of the most famous conlangs, with dedicated learners and even certified courses. Dothraki and High Valyrian, Game of Thrones. Designed by linguist David J. Peterson. These languages gave depth to George R.R. Martin's world, making Westeros more immersive. Nausicaa, Avatar. Developed by linguist Paul Frommer for James Cameron's Avatar, this language introduced audiences to a fully realized alien culture. Sindarin and Quenya. The Lord of the Rings. J.R.R. Tolkien, a philologist, constructed extensive Elvish languages that became the foundation for modern fantasy conlangs. Impact on audiences. These conlangs have inspired fans worldwide to learn, speak, and even develop their own linguistic creations. Some actors have even taken lessons to perfect their pronunciation, adding realism to their performances. 2. The role of conlangs in video games. Beyond cinema, video games have become a powerful medium for conlang integration. Game developers recognize that fully developed languages enhance immersion, making fictional worlds feel alive. Popular video game conlangs. The Dragon Language, The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. A complete language with unique grammar, syntax, and writing system. Al-Bhed, Final Fantasy X. A semi-coded language that players can decipher as they progress. Simlish, The Sim series. A gibberish-like language designed to sound natural while avoiding localization issues. Why conlangs matter in games. Enhances immersion by making worlds feel more authentic. Creates challenges for players who enjoy deciphering new languages. Builds stronger fan communities around in-game lore. 3. How conlangs are created for media. Many entertainment studios hire professional linguists to craft realistic and functional languages. The process involves defining phonetics and phonology, deciding how the language should sound, creating grammar and syntax, developing structure and word order, building vocabulary, constructing words that fit the culture, writing systems, designing unique alphabets or scripts. Tools such as IPA charts, language databases, and AI-assisted generators help in designing realistic conlangs. 4. The future of conlangs in entertainment. As technology advances, we may see more AI-generated conlangs, interactive language learning applications, and even conlangs in virtual reality, VR, or augmented reality, AR, experiences. Fans are already using conlangs in creative ways, writing books, composing music, and even translating Shakespeare into Klingon. Conclusion. Constructed languages are no longer just a niche hobby. They are a crucial element in modern storytelling, enhancing media across film, TV, and video games. As audiences demand richer and more immersive experiences, conlangs will continue to shape the future of entertainment. Chapter 4. Conlangs in online communities and fandoms. The internet has revolutionized the way people engage with constructed languages, conlangs. Online communities, forums, and social media platforms have made it easier than ever for conlangers to share their creations, collaborate with others, and refine their linguistic systems. In this chapter, we will explore how conlangs have found a thriving home in digital spaces, particularly within fandoms and niche interest groups. 1. The rise of online conlanging communities. Before the internet, conlanging was often a solitary endeavor, with enthusiasts working in isolation or corresponding via letters. However, the digital era has provided an unprecedented opportunity for collaboration and discussion. Online platforms such as conalng.org and the Conlang mailing list, one of the oldest conlanging communities. Reddits are /conlangs and other language-related subreddits. Facebook and Discord groups dedicated to conlanging. YouTube channels and podcasts teaching linguistic principles and conlang creation. These platforms allow conlangers to discuss phonetics, grammar structures, and linguistic philosophy with like-minded individuals. They also provide a space for beginners to receive feedback and inspiration from more experienced creators. 2. Conlangs in fandom culture. Fan communities, especially those surrounding science fiction and fantasy, have embraced conlangs as an essential part of their storytelling experience. Fans of Game of Thrones, The Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, and Avatar actively study and expand upon existing fictional languages. They create dictionaries, practice speaking the languages, and even compose songs or write entire stories in these constructed tongues. Some major conlangs that have flourished in fandoms include Klingon, Star Trek, a fully developed language with an active speaker base and annual conventions. Dothraki and High Valyrian, Game of Thrones, created by linguist David J. Peterson. These languages have dedicated online learning courses. Quenya and Sindarin, The Lord of the Rings. Tolkien's Elvish languages are still studied and used by fans worldwide. Nausica's Avatar. Enthusiasts continue to develop and expand upon the language introduced in James Cameron's film. Many fans engage in conlang roleplay, where they practice conversations, write fanfiction, or even translate famous texts into these languages. 3. The impact of social media and technology. Social media platforms have made it easier for conlangers to share their work and reach a broader audience. Some conlangers use TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube to share mini-language lessons, while others use blogs or Twitter to discuss linguistic nuances. AI-powered chatbots and machine translation tools have even started incorporating conlangs, making it possible for people to communicate in fictional languages more fluidly. Some notable advancements include Duolingo's High Valyrian course, allowing users to learn a conlang just like any real-world language. Google Translate's Klingon support, demonstrating how a conlang can be integrated into mainstream technology. AI language models trained on conlangs, enabling more advanced linguistic simulations. As technology continues to advance, the potential for conlangs to become more interactive and accessible will only increase. 4. The future of online conlanging. With the rise of virtual reality, VR, augmented reality, AR, and artificial intelligence, conlangs may soon play an even greater role in digital spaces. Imagine virtual worlds where users can communicate in unique, AI-generated languages, or video games that allow full conversations in conlangs instead of just scripted dialogue. In addition, more conlanging communities are moving towards collaborative world-building projects, where entire linguistic ecosystems are built by multiple contributors. These shared worlds offer a dynamic way for conlangs to evolve over time, just like real languages. The internet has turned conlanging from a niche hobby into a thriving global movement. Whether through online discussions, fan communities, or technological advancements, conlangs have become a dynamic part of digital culture, one that continues to grow every day. Image description. The image for this chapter should depict a vibrant online community centered around constructed languages. The scene could show a mix of people communicating in different conlangs through computers, mobile devices, or even in a virtual reality setting. Some users might be translating texts, engaging in a video call in a fictional language, or collaborating on a conlanging project using AI-powered tools. The background could include symbols from famous conlangs like Klingon, Quenya, or High Valyrian, representing the rich culture of online linguistic creativity. Chapter 5. The role of constructed languages in education. In the modern world, constructed languages, conlangs, have found a unique and valuable place in education. Traditionally, language learning has focused on natural languages, but educators and linguists have started incorporating conlangs into curriculums to teach linguistic principles, creativity, and cognitive skills. 1. Conlangs as a tool for understanding linguistics. One of the most significant educational applications of conlangs is their role in teaching linguistics. By analyzing how constructed languages function, students can gain deeper insights into phonetics, morphology, syntax, and semantics. Many linguistics courses now use Esperanto, Klingon, or other artificial languages to illustrate language structures and comparative grammar. For example, Esperanto is often studied to demonstrate the concept of agglutinative languages and how language simplification can aid in communication. Similarly, the complex grammar of Tolkien's Elvish languages serves as a perfect model for understanding linguistic evolution and historical linguistics. 2. Conlanging as a creative and cognitive exercise. The process of creating a language from scratch is a highly intellectual and artistic endeavor. In educational settings, students are sometimes encouraged to develop their own conlangs, which helps improve their problem-solving skills, logic, and creativity. Many universities offer courses or workshops on language invention, where students design phonological rules, construct grammatical structures, and create lexicons. Through this process, learners engage deeply with language mechanics, reinforcing their understanding of syntax, phonetics, and lexicography. At the same time, it nurtures artistic expression, as language invention often involves world-building and storytelling. 3. Language learning with conlangs. Esperanto, in particular, has been a successful tool for language acquisition. Studies have shown that learning Esperanto before another foreign language can improve language learning ability. Because Esperanto has regular grammar and a simplified structure, it acts as a linguistic stepping stone, easing students into multilingualism. Additionally, artificial languages designed for educational purposes, such as Lojban and Toki-Pona, have been used to teach logic, philosophy, and cognitive science. Lojban's unambiguous grammar makes it useful for studying formal logic, while Toki-Pona, with its minimal vocabulary, helps demonstrate the relationship between thought and language. 4. The use of conlangs in early education. Some educators have experimented with introducing conlangs to younger students as an engaging way to introduce them to language structure. Gamified learning approaches using constructed languages can make linguistic studies more accessible and enjoyable for children. For instance, introducing a simple conlang to elementary students can teach basic grammar rules, pattern recognition, and sound production in an intuitive manner. Additionally, bilingual children who struggle with complex grammar in natural languages may find learning a simpler conlang to be an effective bridge toward mastering more difficult linguistic structures. 5. Academic research and linguistic experimentation. Beyond classroom education, constructed languages play an essential role in linguistic research. Some scholars create experimental conlangs to test linguistic hypotheses about how different grammatical structures affect comprehension, communication efficiency, and cognitive processing. For example, Ithquil, an experimental conlang, is designed to test the limits of linguistic precision and cognitive load. Similarly, Loglan was originally developed to explore the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which suggests that language influences thought. These languages serve as tools for studying human cognition and language development. Conclusion: conlangs are no longer just a hobby for linguistics enthusiasts or a tool for fictional world-building. They have become powerful educational instruments. Whether in the study of linguistics, language acquisition, cognitive science, or early childhood education, constructed languages have proven their value in fostering linguistic awareness, creativity, and problem-solving skills. As more educators recognize their potential, we may see a growing presence of conlangs in academic settings worldwide. Chapter 6. Conlangs in Linguistic Research. In the modern era, constructed languages, conlangs, have become valuable tools in linguistic research. While historically considered a niche interest, scholars now use conlangs to explore the limits of human language, test linguistic theories, and study language evolution. This chapter delves into how conlangs contribute to our understanding of phonetics, syntax, semantics, and cognition. Conlangs as a linguistic experiment. Linguists have long debated the structure and function of natural languages, but testing theories can be difficult due to the complexity of existing languages. Constructed languages provide an alternative, a way to experiment with linguistic principles in a controlled environment. By designing conlangs with specific phonotactic, morphological, and syntactic rules, researchers can test hypotheses about how language works. For example, the famous Ithquil language, created by John Quixote, was designed to explore the limits of human cognitive processing in linguistic expression. It is extremely dense, meaning that complex ideas can be conveyed in a few syllables. The study of Ithquil has led to insights into how humans process highly structured grammatical information. Similarly, researchers create microconlangs to test specific linguistic features. For instance, a linguist might develop a language with a highly inflected case system to examine how speakers acquire and use such structures. These artificial experiments help to answer questions about universals in human language. Testing the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, or linguistic relativity, suggests that the structure of a language affects how its speakers perceive the world. While testing this theory using natural languages is difficult due to cultural and historical influences, conlangs offer a way to isolate linguistic effects from external variables. A notable example is the language Toki-Pona, a minimalist conlang with only about 120 words. Because of its simplicity, some researchers have used it to study whether a reduced vocabulary influences thought patterns. Likewise, some experimental conlangs are designed to have no words for certain concepts, allowing researchers to observe how speakers compensate for linguistic gaps. Artificial intelligence and computational linguistics. Conlangs also play a role in artificial intelligence and computational linguistics. AI researchers use constructed languages to train models in language processing. These conlangs help to refine how AI systems learn grammar and vocabulary from scratch. In machine translation, experimental conlangs serve as intermediary languages to simplify complex linguistic structures. Moreover, some AI projects involve creating conlangs from data, allowing researchers to study the formation of language-like structures through machine learning. The study of these artificial languages informs both AI development and theories about natural language evolution. Conlangs and language evolution. Another area of linguistic research involves using conlangs to simulate language evolution. By designing a proto-language with specific rules and then applying hypothetical sound changes, researchers can test how languages might have evolved over time. Some projects simulate language drift over several generations, providing insight into historical linguistics. For example, the Language Evolution and Computation Research Unit at the University of Edinburgh has conducted experiments where artificial languages are passed down between participants to observe how grammar emerges and stabilizes over time. These studies mimic the natural processes of creolization and grammaticalization. Conclusion. Far from being mere artistic endeavors, conlangs serve as valuable tools in linguistic research. They allow scholars to test theories, examine cognitive processes, and explore the boundaries of human communication. As technology advances, the role of conlangs in computational linguistics and AI is likely to expand, providing new insights into both natural and artificial language. Chapter 7. Constructed Languages in Artificial Intelligence and Virtual Assistants. In the 21st century, as artificial intelligence becomes an ever more integral part of daily life, the role of constructed languages, conlangs, in AI and virtual communication systems has expanded in unexpected and innovative directions. What was once the realm of science fiction, intelligent machines communicating in made-up tongues, has begun to merge with real-world applications, from digital assistants to immersive gaming interfaces. The role of language in human-AI interaction. Language is the most human of interfaces, and AI systems that aim to understand or replicate human behavior must be deeply attuned to language. While natural languages like English and Mandarin are dominant in current AI interfaces, conlangs offer unique opportunities. Unlike natural languages, conlangs can be optimized for clarity, efficiency, and logical structure. This makes them appealing candidates for experimental AI communication systems or internal protocols among AI agents. AI-generated conlangs. One of the most exciting recent developments is the emergence of AI-generated conlangs. Using neural networks, machine learning algorithms can now generate entirely new languages, complete with consistent phonology, morphology, and syntax, based on provided input data or constraints. These AI-created languages can serve functional roles in sci-fi world-building, simulate alien intelligence, or even test linguistic hypotheses. Some AI-generated languages are used in simulations where synthetic species or civilizations must evolve unique forms of communication. In other cases, they serve creative purposes, fueling world-building for video games, literature, or even experimental films. Virtual assistants with conlangs. A more playful use of conlangs in AI comes from virtual assistants and chatbots programmed to understand or speak fictional languages. Fans of Star Trek, for instance, have created digital Klingon translators or assistants that can parse commands in Klingon. In other cases, conlangs have been used as Easter eggs or bonus features within smart assistants, allowing users to playfully engage with fictional cultures in everyday contexts. Ethical considerations. The integration of constructed languages into artificial systems also raises ethical questions. If an AI begins using a conlang as its internal logic or communication standard, who controls that language? What happens when language becomes an intellectual property embedded into software or communication tools? Moreover, if a conlang becomes a widely used AI interface, it may reshape how humans learn or understand machines, possibly shifting linguistic expectations altogether. Bridging the human-machine divide. Ultimately, the use of conlangs in AI settings reflects a deepening desire to bridge the human-machine divide, not merely by teaching machines to speak our languages, but by meeting them halfway in newly imagined ones. In a world where technology increasingly mediates human experience, conlangs remind us of the fluid boundaries between art and logic. Fantasy. Chapter 8. Constructed languages in gaming worlds. In the ever-evolving realm of digital entertainment, video games have emerged as a powerful platform for immersive storytelling, complex world-building, and creative experimentation. Among the many tools used to craft believable and compelling fictional worlds, constructed languages, conlangs, have become an essential element in modern game development. Whether subtly embedded or fully realized, these fictional tongues add depth, culture, and realism to in-game civilizations. Conlangs as world-building tools. Games are not just playthings, they are digital landscapes where stories unfold, cultures bloom, and languages live. Developers and narrative designers turn to conlangs to construct histories, create unique social dynamics, and differentiate factions or species. A well-crafted conlang in a game functions as more than background flavor. It becomes a storytelling device that reflects the psychology, values, and evolution of fictional peoples. For example, in the Elder Scrolls series, the dragon language, Dovizil, is used not only for spells and lore but also as an artifact of ancient power, reinforcing the mythos of the game's universe. Similarly, Mass Effect's use of unique alien phrases and terms conveys the diverse linguistic landscape of a vast galactic society, even if not every language is fully developed. Interactivity and linguistic discovery. One of the most compelling aspects of conlangs in games is the element of discovery. Players might be given the tools to decode a language, solve puzzles with it, or even learn to speak it. This interactive engagement transforms players into amateur linguists and codebreakers, deepening their immersion. Games like Heaven's Vault by Inkle take this to the next level, making language deciphering a core mechanic. Players gradually learn the fictional language of the ancients, piecing together grammar and vocabulary over time. This not only enriches the player experience, but also introduces linguistic principles in an accessible and playful way. Fan involvement and language expansion. Gaming communities often take conlangs beyond their original limits. Fans create dictionaries, grammar guides, and even translation mods. This collaborative expansion breathes life into the language, ensuring its continued use and relevance far beyond the screen. For instance, fans of The Legend of Zelda, Hylian, or Final Fantasy's Al-Bhed have reconstructed vocabularies, analyzed sentence structure, and built language learning resources. This kind of involvement cultivates a shared passion and sense of ownership among fans, making the conlang a living, growing entity. The future of gaming conlangs. As games become increasingly complex and cinematic, the use of conlangs is likely to grow. With AI tools, dynamic voice synthesis, and improved localization, the integration of fictional languages into gameplay will be more seamless and immersive than ever. In the future, we may see entire campaigns conducted in conlangs, real-time translation mechanics, and adaptive learning systems that allow players to master alien tongues as part of the adventure. Chapter 9. Conlangs in Virtual Reality and Augmented Reality. The rise of immersive technologies such as virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR, has created a new frontier for the use and development of constructed languages. These technologies, which place users inside entirely digital or digitally enhanced environments, offer limitless possibilities for storytelling, social interaction, and education, making them fertile ground for conlangs to thrive. Immersive worlds with unique languages. In VR, users can enter entire universes that are unbound by real-world limitations. Developers and world builders have started to incorporate conlangs to enrich these virtual experiences. From alien civilizations to ancient magical realms, conlangs allow creators to embed deeper cultural and historical lore into their VR worlds, giving users a truly immersive experience where language becomes part of the exploration. For example, a VR fantasy game may include a mystical script and spoken language that players must learn to unlock spells or communicate with NPCs, non-playable characters. These languages aren't just decorative, they're often essential to gameplay, requiring players to read signs, decipher runes, or respond correctly in dialogue using the conlang. This integration turns passive storytelling into active linguistic discovery. AR and real-time interaction. While VR transports users to new worlds, AR overlays information onto the real world. In this domain, conlangs find use in cultural preservation apps, gamified language learning experiences, or interactive tours. Imagine walking through a museum and seeing ancient conlangs reconstructed in real time via AR glasses, or scanning symbols on a historical site that dynamically teach you the script and grammar of an ancient civilization. Additionally, AR can create multiplayer experiences where users must collaborate using conlangs to solve puzzles, role-play scenarios, or uncover hidden content, promoting both linguistic engagement and social bonding. Language learning in immersive environments. Virtual environments are increasingly being used to teach both natural and constructed languages. For conlang communities, this means the ability to simulate real-life conversations and situations where their language is spoken. Students of Klingon, Esperanto, or even newly invented conlangs can now travel to a digital realm where everyone speaks the language, practicing pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar with AI avatars or real community members. Some developers are even working on AI-driven conversational partners who learn with you, offering both challenge and companionship as learners advance in their conlang journey. A playground for experimental languages. VR and AR also serve as testbeds for experimental linguistic concepts. Creators can experiment with multisensory or nonverbal languages such as color flashes, gestures, or shapes as part of a conlang system. These languages, impossible or impractical in the real world, can thrive in immersive media. This has opened up the world of conlanging to entirely new forms of expression and design. Conclusion. Virtual and augmented reality are not just technological trends, they are rapidly evolving spaces of cultural and linguistic innovation. For conlang creators, they represent both a challenge and an opportunity to think beyond traditional forms of language and explore how communication might evolve in synthetic realities. As VR and AR become more accessible and sophisticated, we can expect conlangs to play a growing role in shaping the way people interact, learn, and tell stories in digital worlds. Chapter 10. Political and Diplomatic Applications of Conlangs. In a world where language barriers often complicate diplomacy and political discourse, constructed languages offer an intriguing solution to neutral communication. The idea of using a politically neutral conlang is not new. Esperanto, for instance, was originally developed with the goal of promoting peace and mutual understanding among nations. Today, conlangs continue to be examined and sometimes utilized in international and intergroup contexts where neutrality, clarity, or unity is desired. Diplomatic neutrality. Conlangs have the potential to serve as neutral tools in international organizations, providing a common ground for parties with differing linguistic and cultural backgrounds. By removing linguistic privilege from any one nation, conlangs can encourage more equitable dialogue. Although no conlang has yet been adopted on a large diplomatic scale, the concept is continually discussed among political theorists and linguistic advocates. Peace movements and activism. Constructed languages are often tied to idealistic and philosophical movements. Many peace activists see conlangs as symbolic tools to break down barriers between people. Esperanto, again, stands out in this role, having been associated with numerous pacifist and anti-nationalist movements in the 20th century. More recently, grassroots initiatives have proposed new conlangs for fostering global citizenship and cross-cultural understanding. Internal political communication. Some governments or communities have explored the use of conlangs internally, especially in multicultural societies or regions with many official languages. While rarely implemented at the state level, conlangs have been proposed as auxiliary languages for easing internal administration and improving unity without elevating one regional language over another. Constructed languages in fictional politics. Beyond real-world applications, political conlangs often appear in speculative fiction. Entire diplomatic corps in sci-fi series like Star Trek use Klingon and other alien languages, adding realism to interstellar politics. These fictional examples often inspire real-world thought experiments about the role of language in diplomacy. Future potential. As globalization increases and technology evolves, the possibility of using conlangs in real-world politics could become more viable. Machine translation and AI-enhanced learning might reduce the effort needed to learn conlangs, making them more accessible. Some futurists even envision AI-developed diplomatic conlangs, languages optimized for clarity, precision, and neutrality, generated by algorithms with no national bias. Chapter 11. Constructed languages in online education platforms. The rise of online education has created a unique and fertile ground for the spread and study of constructed languages, conlangs. Platforms like Duolingo, Memrise, Coursera, and even YouTube have transformed how people learn, offering unprecedented access to niche languages, including those that were once considered obscure or purely artistic creations. Duolingo and the gamification of conlang learning. One of the most prominent players in this movement is Duolingo, which popularized courses in Esperanto, Klingon, and High Valyrian. These offerings are more than a novelty. They are gateways for learners to enter new linguistic and cultural spaces. The gamification of language learning has made it easier and more enjoyable for casual learners to engage with conlangs, leading to a growing global community of speakers. Esperanto, in particular, has thrived thanks to its presence on Duolingo. With hundreds of thousands of learners worldwide, the app has provided a structured, engaging format that makes the language accessible to those who may never have encountered it otherwise. MOOCs and academic access to conlangs. Massive open online courses, MOOCs, have played an instrumental role in expanding the academic study of constructed languages. Platforms such as edX and Coursera offer linguistics courses that touch on the art and science of conlang creation. These courses are often created by university professors and researchers, giving learners the opportunity to explore theoretical frameworks, grammar construction, phonetics, and semantics through the lens of conlangs. Some specialized courses focus entirely on the art of conlanging, teaching students how to create their own languages from scratch. This democratization of knowledge empowers people from all backgrounds to participate in language innovation. YouTube and independent educators. YouTube has also emerged as a powerhouse in conlang education. Creators such as LangFocus, Artifection, and others regularly post videos exploring both natural and constructed languages. These videos often break down complex concepts into digestible, visual content, reaching a broad audience of language enthusiasts, sci-fi fans, and aspiring linguists. Some conlangers even create entire channels dedicated to the development of their languages, offering vocabulary lessons, grammar tutorials, pronunciation guides, and world-building insights. Interactive tools and language creation software. Beyond traditional video content and structured courses, online tools like Vulgarlang, Conworkshop, and Lingua Libre help users design and document their own languages interactively. These platforms provide templates, grammar generators, and even collaborative spaces where communities can build conlangs together. Such tools make the learning and creative process highly participatory, bridging the gap between formal education and artistic expression. A new era of linguistic exploration. Online education platforms have shifted the conlang landscape from a fringe hobby to a more mainstream, accessible field of study. The internet has allowed diverse voices from around the world to engage in linguistic creativity, leading to a vibrant ecosystem of learners, creators, and scholars who push the boundaries of what a language can be. Whether for fun, fandom, cultural identity, or intellectual curiosity, Conlangs are flourishing in digital classrooms, and this trend shows no sign of slowing down. Chapter 12. Conlangs in Education, Expanding Minds and Cultures. In recent years, constructed languages have found a unique and influential role within the realm of education. No longer confined to niche communities or private study, conlangs have increasingly become tools for teaching not only language and linguistics, but also culture, critical thinking, and creativity. One of the most prominent uses of conlangs in education is in linguistics courses at universities. Professors use conlangs to help students understand language structure, phonology, grammar, and syntax. By studying or even creating their own languages, students grasp how natural languages work at a fundamental level, making abstract linguistic concepts more tangible. Beyond university settings, conlangs are finding their way into high schools and creative writing programs. Teachers use them to spark students' imaginations, encouraging the development of fictional worlds and societies. This method supports interdisciplinary learning, combining elements of language, history, art, and science. For example, students may explore how environmental factors shape a fictional society's language or how political structures influence its writing system. Language learning apps and platforms have also begun experimenting with conlangs. Duolingo, for instance, introduced courses in Esperanto and High Valyrian. These choices not only cater to enthusiastic fans of fantasy or international communication, but also challenge traditional language learning paradigms. They highlight the importance of motivation and engagement in successful language acquisition. Moreover, conlangs can act as bridges for inclusivity. For students who speak minority languages or come from multilingual backgrounds, the study of conlangs offers a sense of validation that every language, even an invented one, has structure, meaning, and value. It fosters respect for linguistic diversity and can lead to greater empathy and understanding. Finally, some schools and universities now offer entire courses dedicated to conlanging itself. These programs teach not only the mechanics of language creation, but also the cultural and artistic aspects. Students are encouraged to invent new worlds, develop scripts, and present their languages to peers, often resulting in fascinating and deeply personal linguistic systems. In this way, constructed languages are transforming education, not merely as curiosities, but as dynamic, interdisciplinary tools that open doors to deeper thinking and creative expression. Chapter 13. Conlangs and Artificial Intelligence. In the rapidly evolving technological age, artificial intelligence, AI, is reshaping nearly every aspect of human life, including the creation, analysis, and use of constructed languages, conlangs. While conlangs have traditionally been developed by individuals or small communities driven by artistic, philosophical, or linguistic interest, the inclusion of AI introduces a transformative element to the field. AI now plays a significant role in the automatic generation of conlangs. Through large language models and generative algorithms, entire languages, with grammar rules, vocabularies, and phonological systems, can be developed within seconds. This offers an unprecedented opportunity for those who may lack deep linguistic training but wish to explore or create languages for storytelling, games, or personal expression. Moreover, AI is instrumental in the analysis of existing conlangs. Tools powered by machine learning can identify inconsistencies, suggest naturalistic improvements, and generate usage examples. AI can also assist in translating between conlangs and natural languages, making them more accessible to a wider audience. On the frontier of voice synthesis and recognition, AI can bring conlangs to life. It enables real-time speech generation and comprehension, paving the way for conlangs to be used in virtual assistants, AI avatars, or immersive storytelling experiences in games and virtual worlds. However, the use of AI in conlanging also presents philosophical challenges. What does it mean to create a language if the process is automated? Does it remove the artistry or deepen it by enabling broader expression? Can an AI-authored language be truly owned by a human? These questions fuel ongoing debates in the community. In short, AI is not just a tool but a collaborator, sometimes even a co-creator. As this partnership between human imagination and machine intelligence deepens, the future of constructed languages may be redefined entirely. Chapter 14. The role of constructed languages in online education and language learning platforms. In the digital age, language learning has been revolutionized by the internet and mobile technology. Constructed languages, once a niche subject for passionate hobbyists, have found new life and wider audiences through online education platforms, language learning apps, and virtual classrooms. This chapter delves into how modern learners engage with conlangs in today's educational landscape. The digital rise of language learning. With the advent of platforms like Duolingo, Memrise, and LingQ, learners have access to thousands of language courses at the tap of a screen. The inclusion of constructed languages like Klingon and High Valyrian on Duolingo has helped to legitimize and popularize conlangs as valid linguistic endeavors. What was once considered a fringe interest now exists side by side with major world languages. This visibility brings with it new motivations for learning. Fans of Game of Thrones might learn Valyrian out of devotion to the story world, while students of linguistics may explore Esperanto to understand language construction, simplicity, and international communication. Educational benefits and learning techniques. Learning a conlang offers unique cognitive benefits. Because many constructed languages are designed with clarity, regular grammar, and minimal exceptions, they can serve as effective entry points for new learners. Esperanto, for instance, has long been advocated as a starter language due to its simplicity and logical design, which helps learners develop skills that transfer to other languages. Moreover, teaching conlangs in classrooms or digital settings encourages metalinguistic awareness. Learners reflect on how languages are built, the purpose of grammar, and the relationship between language and meaning. These are vital skills for linguists, polyglots, and educators alike. From apps to academia. While conlangs are thriving on apps, they've also carved out space in academic institutions. Some universities offer courses on language creation or the study of specific conlangs in relation to culture, identity, and media. These lessons often integrate technology, using virtual whiteboards, collaborative conlang creation tools, and video lectures to immerse students in both learning and creating. Online communities have further enriched the experience. Platforms like Reddit, Discord, and even TikTok feature communities dedicated to teaching, sharing, and co-creating conlangs, often accompanied by interactive exercises and video content that simulate real-world conversations. Empowering a new generation. The accessibility of language creation through digital tools like vocabulary generators, grammar databases, and writing systems has empowered a new generation of creators. Teens and young adults, equipped with nothing more than a phone and an idea, can now craft entire linguistic worlds and share them instantly. Educational initiatives have also recognized this. Some language learning platforms and curricula now include optional modules on conlang creation, particularly in homeschooling and gifted education contexts. They encourage creative and critical thinking, as students must make decisions about phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics while also thinking about cultural context. Chapter 15. Language Learning Apps and the Digital Revival of Conlangs. In the digital age, the process of learning languages has been radically transformed by the rise of mobile applications and interactive platforms. This evolution hasn't just benefited natural languages, it has opened the door for constructed languages, conlangs, to find a new and vibrant place in global education. Language learning apps like Duolingo, Memrise, and Closemaster have begun to host conlangs, most notably Klingon, High Valyrian, and even Toki Pona. These platforms make learning accessible, gamified, and community-driven, significantly lowering the entry barrier for those curious about conlangs. With bite-sized lessons, streak tracking, leaderboards, and a supportive social environment, users are incentivized to dive into new linguistic systems not only for practicality, but for fun. This digital revival has also sparked new interest in lesser-known or experimental conlangs. Language creators can now develop companion apps or plugins that teach grammar, vocabulary, and syntax in an intuitive, step-by-step fashion. They can integrate voice recognition for pronunciation, AI-driven feedback, and spaced repetition systems for memorization, all tools that once were reserved only for the most widely spoken tongues. Beyond the apps themselves, learners are gathering in digital spaces, forums, Discord servers, and Reddit communities to share progress, resources, and encouragement. These networks are becoming key hubs in keeping niche conlangs alive, vibrant, and evolving. Users aren't just learning, they're contributing, correcting, adapting, and actively participating in living linguistic systems. Moreover, some developers and educators are beginning to use AR, augmented reality, and VR, virtual reality, environments to immerse learners in simulated experiences using conlangs. From navigating a marketplace in a fictional world to engaging in quests that require spoken fluency, the possibilities are expanding rapidly. In this way, language learning apps and digital tools are not only preserving constructed languages, but propelling them into a new golden age. They empower enthusiasts, streamline education, and showcase the creative, cultural, and cognitive value of conlangs to a broader, more global audience than ever before. Chapter 16. The Role of Conlangs in Language Revitalization. In an era where over 40% of the world's 7,000+ natural languages are endangered, the field of conlanging has stepped into an unexpected yet vital role: language revitalization. Constructed languages, often seen as products of creative or speculative fiction, are now being applied in real-world efforts to revive, reconstruct, and preserve dying or dormant tongues. This phenomenon operates on multiple levels. First, conlang methodologies such as phonological reconstruction, morphological extrapolation, and grammar design are used by linguists and community members alike to rebuild forgotten languages from partial records. For example, language communities may use a reconstructed vocabulary and syntax drawn from historical documents, oral histories, and comparative linguistics to breathe life into a language that has not been spoken in generations. Second, conlangs can serve as educational scaffolds. By simplifying complex aspects of a natural language, constructed, apprentice versions help new learners ease into the full form. This technique has been employed for revitalizing indigenous languages in Canada, Australia, and the US, allowing both children and adult learners to grasp basic structures before transitioning to the original version. Moreover, the creative process of constructing a revitalized language empowers communities. The act of reclaiming language through collaborative workshops, often facilitated online, fosters cultural pride and intergenerational dialogue. It also brings together elders, youth, and linguists in a shared mission, a convergence that echoes the collaborative spirit of conlanging communities worldwide. In recent years, conlanging software has been adapted for revitalization projects. Tools originally made for fictional world-building now assist communities in tracking vocabulary usage, generating pronunciation guides, and constructing learning materials. Apps like Polyglot and Fieldling have begun tailoring features for endangered language use. Finally, the cultural significance of language revitalization through conlanging reaches beyond grammar and vocabulary. It touches on identity, heritage, and sovereignty. When a people construct or reconstruct their own language, they're not merely recovering lost words, they are reaffirming their history, stories, and worldview. In this context, conlangs are more than a tool. They are a bridge between the past and the future. As conlanging continues to evolve, its role in decolonizing linguistics and supporting endangered language communities may become one of its most impactful and meaningful contributions to society. Chapter 17. The Rise of Multilingualism and Conlangs in Global Cities. In today's world, urban centers are rapidly transforming into global cultural melting pots where dozens, sometimes hundreds, of languages collide, cooperate, and coexist. In this dynamic environment, conlangs are increasingly finding their place, not as mere novelties, but as functional, expressive, and culturally powerful tools that reflect the new realities of communication in the 21st century. 1. Conlangs as urban tools for communication. Modern cities such as New York, Tokyo, London, and Sao Paulo are increasingly embracing the concept of linguistic plurality. Conlangs like Esperanto, lingua franca nova, or globesa are sometimes used at intercultural festivals, language learning clubs, or digital communities to bridge communication gaps where no common natural language exists. These neutral languages offer a way to avoid the dominance of a single language and encourage linguistic equality. 2. Artistic and educational presence. In cities with thriving art scenes, conlangs are being used in avant-garde theater productions, experimental poetry slams, and multimedia exhibits. Urban schools and universities with strong linguistics or arts programs are introducing conlangs into the curriculum, recognizing them as both cultural artifacts and living languages. Students are not just studying existing conlangs, they're creating new ones as part of collaborative projects tied to urban identities and social change. 3. Conlangs in local communities. Some urban communities, especially those shaped by diaspora populations, use conlangs as ways to maintain identity while adapting to new linguistic environments. For example, youth in multicultural neighborhoods might adopt a hybrid conlang incorporating elements of their native tongues and local slang, sometimes influenced by constructed grammar rules from fictional or artistic conlangs. This is creating a fascinating blur between natural evolution and deliberate language construction. 4. Online-offline fusion. In the digital age, cities are hubs not only physically but also virtually. Language learners in cafes, public libraries, or co-working spaces meet in person to practice conlangs they've encountered online. What starts in Discord servers or Reddit threads turns into real-world meetups in urban spaces. This synergy between online and offline spaces supports the idea that conlangs are thriving because of globalization, not in spite of it. 5. Political and social messaging. Activist movements in global cities are also exploring conlangs as vehicles for non-nationalist, inclusive messaging. Urban activists may use conlangs on protest signs, digital campaigns, or manifestos to promote unity across cultural lines and signal opposition to linguistic imperialism. This radical linguistic creativity is giving conlangs a new dimension, one deeply connected to social justice, decolonization, and equality. In summary, global cities are not just adopting conlangs, they're shaping them. As diverse communities continue to interact and influence each other, constructed languages will likely become even more entangled with urban life, art, and identity. Chapter 18. Conlangs and Education, a New Pedagogical Frontier. In recent years, constructed languages have found a meaningful place in educational contexts beyond the mere study of linguistics. Conlangs are increasingly being used as innovative tools to teach grammar, vocabulary, phonetics, and even cultural studies in primary, secondary, and higher education. By allowing students to explore the mechanics of language through active creation and analysis, conlang-based curricula enhance engagement and deepen understanding. Some schools and universities have integrated conlang projects into language arts or social science programs, encouraging students to build their own languages as a means to grasp linguistic diversity, language evolution, and the relationship between language and worldview. Such creative exercises also foster critical thinking, problem-solving, and collaborative work as students define syntax, develop lexicons, and imagine the cultures behind their constructed tongues. Notably, conlangs like Esperanto have historically been used in classrooms for their simplified grammar and ease of learning, making them gateways to other languages. Others, such as Klingon or Dothraki, have been used to spark interest in linguistics among pop culture fans, showing how education can adapt to modern interests. In the digital age, tools like conlang generators, phonology simulators, and collaborative online platforms have made it easier than ever for educators and learners to experiment with language creation. Educators around the world now see the value in conlangs as bridges between language, culture, and creativity, a unique pedagogical frontier ripe with possibilities. Chapter 19. Conlangs in Globalization and International Discourse. In an increasingly interconnected world, globalization has significantly influenced the development, use, and perception of constructed languages, conlangs. While natural languages continue to dominate international communication, conlangs have found a unique space as tools for cultural diplomacy, identity preservation, and ideological neutrality. One of the most well-known examples remains Esperanto, which was specifically designed to foster international understanding without favoring any national group. In the 21st century, Its appeal has shifted from utopian idealism to practical global networking. Thousands of speakers across continents now use Esperanto in online forums, conferences, and educational initiatives, breaking barriers of distance and native language privilege. Moreover, as global organizations seek inclusivity and equity, constructed languages offer alternative models. For example, the United Nations and EU have occasionally explored the idea of neutral communication systems to reduce linguistic dominance and costs associated with translation. Though no conlang has yet been adopted officially, their existence continues to shape debates around linguistic fairness. In the global marketplace, multinational corporations and NGOs have also considered conlangs for branding, internal communication, or artistic storytelling. For instance, fictional languages are now deployed in marketing campaigns or to evoke futuristic inclusivity in products aimed at international youth cultures. Social media platforms such as Reddit or Discord host multilingual and multicultural communities of conlangers who collaborate across borders, co-create languages, and even form online nations with their own linguistic systems. These digital networks exemplify how globalization can amplify minority voices and empower creative expression beyond geographic constraints. Finally, conlangs serve as a symbolic reminder of the human desire to transcend borders, not just political, but linguistic and cultural. In an age of mass migration, climate change, and geopolitical uncertainty, the vision behind conlangs resonates more than ever: to create a shared linguistic space that promotes empathy, collaboration, and peace. Through the lens of globalization, conlangs are not merely eccentric hobbies or artistic novelties. They are active participants in shaping how we imagine and negotiate a multilingual, multicultural future. Chapter 20: The Future of Constructed Languages, Speculation and Innovation. As we step into an era defined by rapid technological advancement, globalization, and digital interconnectedness, the role of constructed languages, conlangs, is poised to evolve in unprecedented ways. This chapter explores speculative futures and emerging innovations that may shape the next generation of conlang development, usage, and cultural impact. AI and machine-assisted conlang creation. With the rise of AI-driven tools, the creation of constructed languages has become more accessible and data-driven than ever before. Natural language processing, NLP, generative models, and syntax simulators enable linguists and hobbyists alike to design grammars, lexicons, and even writing systems automatically. In the near future, we may see fully AI-generated languages capable of evolving alongside users in real time, dynamically adjusting vocabulary and rules to fit evolving contexts. Transhumanism and cognitive enhancement. In speculative futures involving neural implants, brain-computer interfaces, or cognitive enhancers, conlangs may not just be spoken or written. They could become thought languages, tailored for direct neural communication. Conlangs optimized for speed, logic, or emotional nuance could revolutionize how we think, learn, and share experiences, surpassing the constraints of natural languages. Post-human linguistics and extraterrestrial scenarios. Looking even further, conlangs might be used to communicate with or simulate the cognitive systems of post-human AI entities or potential extraterrestrial life. Advanced conlangs could serve as diplomatic or philosophical bridges between civilizations, biological or synthetic, offering a means of mutual understanding beyond Earth. Education, therapy, and accessibility. In educational and therapeutic settings, future conlangs may be tailored to support neurodivergent communication, assist language rehabilitation, or provide accessible, simplified speech systems for global education initiatives. With real-time translation, multilingual AI tutors, and tactile or gestural conlangs through haptic tech or AR, language learning could become inclusive, gamified, and personalized. Artistic, cultural, and philosophical horizons. Artists, writers, game developers, and philosophers will continue to push the boundaries of conlangs as a medium for storytelling and world-building. These languages won't just support fictional worlds, they'll become the culture, philosophy, and aesthetic. Conlangs may emerge that embody ethical systems, narrative structures, or emotional landscapes, acting as vessels for immersive experiences in virtual, augmented, or mixed reality spaces. Conclusion: a new Tower of Babel. Rather than fragmenting human communication, future conlangs may offer a new unifying paradigm, a Tower of Babel rebuilt through collaboration, technology, and creative ambition. They will reflect our deepest hopes, complex identities, and shared dreams. The future of conlangs lies not in replacing natural languages, but in complementing and expanding them, unlocking new modes of thought, expression, and connection.